The Fyre Festival was supposed to be the party of the century, a one-of-a-kind music fest in the Bahamas promoted by rapper Ja Rule and celebrity influencers. But when the partygoers arrived, all they found was disaster. Wet mattresses, food in styrofoam containers, and, well, there never was a concert. Festival founder and organizer Billy McFarland has been sentenced to 6 years in prison and is ordered to pay back $26 million to investors. But two men, blogger Seth Crossnose and his friend Mark Thompson, who attended the Fyre Festival, recently won a $5 million settlement against McFarland. I recently sat down with their lawyer, Stacey Miller, to find out why they decided to file separately and how we, as consumers, can avoid getting scammed. Not knowing much about what the Fyre Festival was, when he started talking to you about what his experience was, showing you the video and pictures, what was your reaction? I mean, as it just all kind of started to unfold.
Like any typical fraud case, there's a misrepresentation, and those guys relied on it to their detriment. And it's like a lot of consumer fraud cases. And we had then to make the decision whether we want to participate in a class action that had already been filed, or do we want to bring individual cases? And so we knew pretty quickly that the issue in this case was going to be collectability. And so the first person across the finish line is in the best position to collect. And so that's why we decided to go after Mr. McFarland on an individual basis instead of in a class action.
Like, how much of a risk was that to go that direction?
Well, the biggest hurdle was figuring out how to get personal jurisdiction over them in North Carolina. And so in order to sue somebody in a particular state, you got to have what's called minimum contacts. Of course, they had set up a website in New York, and our clients bought their ticket in North Carolina. And that arguably is minimum contacts, but the law is not real clear on that. But once we determined that they were sending direct emails to our clients, asking them for upgrades and asking them for more money on a fraudulent basis, we knew at that point in time, we definitely had personal jurisdiction over them. So
this wasn't them just going to the site and buying their tickets. Like the company, Billy McFarland's people, was having direct conversation with your clients.
And they all along the way, even days before the festival, they were doubling down. They knew it was not going to happen, and they were still asking for more and more money. You know, truthfully, what he did was terrible. He lured Mr. Crosto and Mr. Thompson away from their home, out of their state, out of their country, and dropped them off on a deserted island with no food or water. And then when the sun went down, that's when the lawlessness really started happening. Looting, pillaging, violence. And so it was a very dangerous condition, and so it's a big deal.
What do you think from a legality standpoint something like this has done?
I mean, it's highlighted with a big exclamation point, influencer marketing. So in essence, he sold out the concert in a week after the influencers started posting things on social media. So the game has changed in terms of marketing, and it's, you have to look behind advertisings, and then the laws developing on this, whether influencers should have to say this is a paid ad or this is a product that I sort of adore and that's why I'm posting it, because people need to know when they make those decisions.
So what would be some advice that you would have for people to avoid any of the pitfalls? And, because everybody is going online, we are buying these ads and everybody's hawking products.
Right, I think you have to ask yourself, why is this influencer promoting this product first? Do they have a financial stake in it? And then maybe do a little bit of your own research before you buy the product. And of course, the general rule, if it's too good to be true, then it's just...
It usually is.
Right.
What amazes me about this and watching this and reading more about the story was, while he was awaiting trial for the Fyre Festival, he enacted another scam.
It's sad. I mean, it's hard to imagine that you would be out on pre-trial release. The federal government would have indicted you for fraud, $20-some million of fraud, and then you would get out and you would do the same thing again, but not just again, but to some of the same people, but with creative ways to separate consumers from their cash, right? And so you just have to be careful. Perhaps they won't use supermodels or that sort of thing to trick you, but it's happening every day.
And I think just for the celebrities, the supermodels, it was eye-opening for them to be careful because your name is forever connected to something, even if you don't vet it well enough.
Right, they're victims too.
I want to thank Netflix and Seth Crossnose for all those videos and pictures. That it was his experience there in the Bahamas. Rapper Ja Rule was also co-founder, but Miller says he spoke with Ja Rule's legal team and they've decided to move on from this. Also, he says he plans to collect what his clients are owed.